So way back in March-ish, Eric and I started our first vegetable garden. This is something that he and I have been planning to do for like a really long time, probably since we got married. I sort of grew up with vegetable gardening, not so much in like my formative childhood, but when I was in high school, we had a garden and sometimes I would help out like a little bit, really not that much, but like I thought it was a cool concept. And it was pretty cool to see that like, oh, these strawberries or jalapenos or peas or whatever came from our backyard. I thought that was super neat. Eric's relationship with plants goes like way back. For quite a while when he was in undergrad, he worked at Plant Kinetics, which is like the plant section of Walmart. And I think that's where he really started getting interested in like growing things. So even though he and I have always really liked plants, we haven't just had like a great situation for actually growing a lot of them. Basically the point is, before this experience, we knew very, very little about gardening. Just like heads up, I'm gonna say like really confusing stuff that is like, why would you think that? We're learning as we go, okay? So when we bought this house, we were like, okay, this is the time we're gonna have a garden. We moved in like July, so it was like, okay, it's a little bit too late to realistically start a garden now, so we said next year. And finally, spring of 2020 came, and it was like, it's time to start a garden. And then, you know, I mean, you know, do I need to say anything else? Basically, like as soon as we started hearing about coronavirus and people having to quarantine and social distancing in stores and all that stuff, we were like, okay, this could be our last chance to go and get the supplies that we need to start our garden. Where are we going?
We're going to Lowe's.
We're going to Lowe's. Why are we going to Lowe's?
Because it's a beautiful day outside and we want to start a garden.
We didn't just decide that because it's a beautiful day outside, although it is a beautiful day outside. No, we've been planning this for a while.
Yeah, you're right.
We're gonna do a small one garden bed, right?
We're doing two.
Oh, we're doing 2 3x3s. This is like our practice run this year. We're gonna do like one of each plant that we really want maybe and see what we like and what's hard and, you know, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yay! There it is. Lowe's. That's really all there is to say. Lowe's. Once was a bittersweet man they called a lemon boy. Anyway, I'm sorry. Hey, what do we have?
Let's see, we've got a blueberry, raspberry. These are tomatoes right here.
Oh.
And these 4 strawberries. Right here. We got a couple
Bell
bell peppers. Some
and jalapenos.
We got lettuce and onion.
Yeah. Oh, good boy. What's happening today? Are we making a garden today? This is the face of a boy who does not care. So Eric's making the boxes. They're gonna go right here. It's officially quarantine now, so we have a lot of time to work on gardening. I'm glad we got this stuff, because now we don't have to buy groceries. We'll just have vegetables. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're stuck at home, so, you know, he has a lot of time on his hands. So it kind of worked out. But he's, you know, doing the manly tool stuff, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. So for our garden, we originally planned to do 2 planter boxes, but then we realized that soil is super expensive, so we downsized to just 1. But yeah, here we are making our low budget planter box with some planks of wood and this wire mesh at the bottom. I think it's supposed to keep out weeds and tree roots and stuff without keeping the worms out. Honestly, I don't remember anymore. Then we tilled up our grass, lined the bottom of the planter with wet newspaper, and filled it up with soil. And then came the exciting part, actually planting the starters. Hey, so this is what I've been doing for the past like week. It's been a little over a week since we started the garden. And yeah, every morning either Eric or I has just come out here pretty much like in our pajamas with some sturdy shoes because, you know, we get wet. Pajamas and combat boots is my look in the mornings these days. So yeah, so far some things are going well and some things are we're not sure. There were some things that, I don't know, surprised us or we weren't sure how to respond to. The peppers really aren't sturdy right now. We thought like, oh no, they're wilting, like they're dying already. Like what did we do? Maybe we've been watering them too much or not enough or whatever. We use a little bit of string that I have to tie them to their little stakes. I was not sure. I was like, are we supposed to do this? But I asked my mom and she said, yeah, sometimes you have to do that to support them. So now the jalapenos seem to be doing a little bit better. One of the peppers doesn't need a stake at all. He's a bell pepper, so I don't know, I guess they're a little bit different. The only other thing that is a concern of mine is that I did some more research on blueberries and raspberries because we kind of bought those impulsively. And it turns out that blueberries and raspberries are supposed to become like big bushes. Eric's thinking like maybe these are different kinds of blueberries and raspberries and they're small, they're for garden beds. And I'm like, I don't know. So we might end up like having to move them, put them in their own pots or something. I'm really not sure. Obviously, I don't want their roots interfering with the roots of the other plants. Bear likes the garden. He comes and sniffs it sometimes. Speaking of actual animals interacting with the garden, we haven't had any pests yet, which is good. Eric said there's supposed to be really, really low temperatures this weekend or next week or something, so we're gonna try to like cover it with a tarp or something to keep it from getting frozen. I can't believe it's like, what? It's spring now, right? When's the first day of spring? Yeah, it's spring now. Well, Pennsylvania, why are you like this? I thought when we got away from Illinois it would be better. I was wrong. So it's still cold. We're gonna cover them up and try to keep them safe. Good things that have happened. The strawberries are doing really, really well. We see like a new flower on one of the plants every day pretty much, which is really exciting. Actually, I never noticed that before. Now I see a couple of the little green things that turn into strawberries, so that's really exciting. I think they might not like the cold and maybe we'll, you know, have to take some steps backwards, but really in Arkansas I feel like strawberries don't start blooming until like June, right? So I'm really surprised that we're seeing some little baby strawberries already, but they might not come to fruition because of the cold. The lettuce is doing better. I don't know if I got a very good shot of it, but when we planted them, a lot of the leaves were just kind of like, lettuce doesn't really have much of a root system, at least when we got our starters. So they just kind of like fell when we planted them. And I thought like, oh, well, I planted them and I know nothing about gardening, so like it's my fault. Nope. They just, I think it was because they got watered too much maybe, or I don't know. But Eric said, you know, lettuce, it'll perk up eventually. And it has started to perk up. But yeah, we're not super attached to the lettuce. I just really like the idea of having lettuce because like we're gonna have tomatoes and peppers and onions and like when I see all those fresh vegetables, I'm gonna want a salad. So I wanna have some lettuce so that I can just and then make myself a nice salad. But we're probably not gonna eat a lot. He's not a big salad eater. It'll be nice to have if it does work. The onions, I did a little bit more research on onions. Really, we should have done more research going into that. Like if I have one tip from this video, it's do your research before you start. But I did more research on onions because I had this moment where I was like, wait, is this gonna grow 2 onions or do you grow more or do each of these little green dudes need more space? And it looks like we planted them correctly, but we might only get like 2 to 4 onions out of this, which is a bummer. But I guess that just means that we have to try to let them grow until they're as big as they can possibly get. And then we'll get like as much onion out of them as possible. So that's the one that I think I'm like the most, not concerned, but like I'm thinking about the onions a lot. And lastly, our tomatoes are doing pretty well. They're like sticking to the cage. My mom said that when they get bigger, we will also have to tie them to the cage maybe, or give them a stake or something to kind of grab onto. Once they start actually sprouting tomatoes, they'll start to get like really heavy. That's like the point of tomato cages. But right now, for the size that they are, I think they're doing really well. So I left week 1 feeling fairly optimistic, but then around week 2 is where things started getting not so great. Hey, so it's been about 2 weeks and a lot has happened. About a week ago now, there was this big freeze in April. Pennsylvania. What the heck? So yeah, a bunch of our stuff froze. I mean, like, there's nothing else to say about it. The temperatures got really low, like lower than they ever were in March. And luckily, Eric, like, knows what he's doing, and he has been checking the weather, and he knew the freeze was coming. We used a tarp that was it was made for covering the floor when you're painting, because we just painted our kitchen. So we put the tarp over the garden. We used bricks to weigh it down. Like, the tarp situation looked good, but clearly it wasn't enough for some of the plants. So the next morning, like, all of our peppers were pretty much dead looking. The bell peppers still look dead. And the tomatoes also originally didn't look so bad, but they just like keep getting worse. So I think the tomatoes are on their way out. But the jalapenos, I don't know if it's because they were more in the middle of the garden or what, but the jalapenos are actually starting to perk up. I'm really, holding out hope on the jalapenos. Hopefully if some businesses start opening and it's like more okay to go places, we might go back to Lowe's and get some more tomatoes and more peppers, but also maybe not. I guess it just depends on a lot of factors. But in heavier news, I think the onions are doing okay. They're underground, so I don't think the freeze really affected them. We have our berries, which are more like tree sort of bush things anyway, so they can withstand things a little bit better, I think. So those guys are doing well. Our lettuce is doing quite well. Eric said that lettuce can withstand a lot of crazy conditions, so I'm actually like really pleased with the lettuce. I'm kind of glad I had to kind of convince Eric to get lettuce. And I'm glad that we wound up getting lettuce, because right now it's like doing the best out of all our plants. So hey, if everything else dies, at least we have like one salad's worth of lettuce. And then the strawberries are doing okay too. There are brown spots, but then like other parts of each plant look pretty okay. In fact, this budding strawberry that was there about 2 weeks ago is still growing. And it definitely has changed in good ways, I think, since the last time. It probably hasn't grown as much as it's supposed to, but it definitely didn't like die. And that to me shows that the plant is hopefully still alive, because the berries are still maturing. We have a couple other flowers that have started turning into berries. There are new flowers. So I think the strawberries are doing okay. Basically, everything is okay except the bell peppers and the tomatoes. I think the terrible weather is over, so that's the good news. But we'll see how everything recovers. Fingers crossed. So even with the freeze, I was feeling pretty okay about whether or not the peppers would live, but after a couple weeks, we had our answer. The peppers and the tomatoes are all dead. That's all there is to say. They're all dead. I had hope for the jalapenos, and after about a week, I started to lose that hope. And then one day we just woke up and they looked like this, and they're completely gone. It's quite sad. We don't really see the point in throwing them away. We want to get more, but it's hard right now because of COVID. So basically the things that were bad got really bad, and the things that have been going well got pretty good. The lettuce is just doing phenomenally. I'm actually probably going to use some of it soon. We have some tofurkey and some pepper jack cheese, and I've been eating a lot of sandwiches, so some of this lettuce would go really well on that. So I might do that for dinner today, I'm not sure. The strawberries are also doing great. We have 4 strawberry plants, and one of them I think might have not recovered from the freeze. It really is not growing like the other ones. It has a leaf on it that looks kind of dead, so one of our strawberry plants might not be doing really well. But 2 of them have at least 2 like developing strawberries on them, which is really exciting. And I would say like 75% of those strawberries appeared in the past week. So like, I think they're really starting to, I don't know, I guess they really like the warm weather. So the actual strawberries are starting to appear, which is really exciting. This one in the back is weirding me out. It's the biggest of the 4 plants, but it has no strawberries. So it's just like, it's all leaf and no straw. And I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, hopefully the big leaves, help it take in like a lot of sun or whatever, and then suddenly it'll just be like, bam, loads of strawberries. We'll see. But the strawberries are doing really well, which I'm really excited about because I love strawberries. These 2 on the back, I keep forgetting which one is blueberry and which one is raspberry. This guy in the front hasn't had a lot of development, but he also doesn't look like he's deteriorating, so that's good. But the guy in the back has some flowers on him, which I think is a good sign. Like, I don't really know how blueberries or raspberries work, but hopefully it means that, you know, it'll turn into berries soon. But again, I really think that blueberries and raspberries maybe take more than a year to grow. So we might not get anything this year. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but you know, the fact that there's flowers at least means that it seems to have recovered from the freeze, and that's good news. The weather has gotten so much better in the past couple of weeks. We've had a lot of rain, which the plants are really liking, and I'm liking because I don't have to water the garden. It's been a lot warmer, a lot sunnier, so the plants that, you know, survived the freeze are doing really well. The onions, I never know what to say for the onions because I can't really see what's going on. However, there is this weird like growth on one of them. I don't know if it's a weed or what. I'm gonna point it out to Eric when he gets home and maybe he'll know a little bit better than I do. I just noticed this today. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen related to an onion, so if it's a weed or something, we're obviously gonna have to get rid of it. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe it's a good sign, maybe it's progress. I don't know anything about onions. That's another area where I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, but I am really excited about the lettuce, and I'm probably gonna eat some very, very soon, and that'll be like my first thing that I've consumed that I grew, and that's really exciting. And I'm gonna go do that right now. Okay, here we go. It is really good. I've been eating a lot of sandwiches lately, but I haven't been putting like lettuce or any vegetables on them. And it's really nice. It has like a crunch. It's super fresh. And I like that it, you know, it's different than just eating a ham and cheese sandwich, which is just kind of like mushy. It's really good. I'm definitely going to continue doing this as the lettuce keeps growing, so yay. Eating the fruits of our labor was super rewarding, and about a week later, things got even better because we got some replacement plants for the ones that we had lost in the freeze. Yeah, they resemble killer.
No, they don't
I know, but when I see one, I'm like, is it a burner hornet? Nope, it's just a bee. You know?
A burner hornet!
A burner hornet. We have hella lettuce, onions that we have no idea what's happening. Look at this strawberry. I'm so excited about the strawberry.
It is the only one that has grown out impressively.
Yeah, the other ones are like
weird.
Either not growing at all or they just look weird. This one I think is gonna look pretty normal maybe.
Yeah.
It's like we have a really weird one hiding under here. This guy's a weirdo.
Our blueberries are past the flowering stage for most of them.
Yeah, which is really exciting.
Yeah. We had to buy new peps. We got some jalapeno.
Oh.
Right, we got one jalapeno instead of two, because instead of a second one we did sweet heat. The tag said when it's green it's sweet, and if you let it ripen more it turns red and gets spicy. And then we got sweet green peppers and sweet red peppers. And then I saw watermelon, and it's Black Diamond heirloom watermelon.
So don't ski on that watermelon.
Right.
What does that even mean?
It comes out black.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. We got red beefsteak and then husky cherry red.
Wow. Yeah, why are all like tomatoes toxic masculinity names like that? It can't be a cherry tomato. Those are small and like lame. They're husky.
They're husky. Masculinization
of tomatoes aside, this is the point where things really started looking up for our garden. Finally, it feels like everything is actually like going pretty well in the garden. You know, nothing is dying, so that's nice. Our lettuce especially is just like really, stop. Lettuce, please. We have too much lettuce. We don't even like lettuce that much. We've eaten lettuce on, I made some like sandwiches, chicken wraps. We've had salad. We put lettuce on our tacos. We don't even normally buy lettuce when we make tacos, but like, we had to eat the lettuce. You gotta eat the lettuce. The lettuce is thriving. Too much. We gave some to our neighbors. Like, there's so much lettuce. Bad news about the strawberries. We had 2 really good looking strawberries. One of them was like just getting red enough to pick. And I was like, I don't want to pick it yet because like we only have like 1. Like, I don't know what my logic was, but I was just gonna let it stay on the vine so it would stay fresh. Bad decision, because something came and ate it. And then the next day, something came and ate our other halfway decent strawberry, which wasn't even like to the point where I wanted to pick it anyway, but even at that point, something came and ate it. So we really need to figure out some sort of like, Eric said like a net situation or something to protect our strawberries. But you know, we have some more little baby strawberries that are gonna grow into big strawberries. So I'm sure we'll get some, but definitely it was a bummer to see our first strawberry that I was really excited about eating for the past like 2 months get eaten by a rabbit. That was very rude. Anyway, blueberries are looking good. They're like starting to be blueberry shaped, which is really exciting. Our new plants are doing okay. The cherry tomatoes have some little flowers on them. Some of the peppers have some flowers. The bell peppers don't really have anything going on for them yet, but you know, we'll see. Maybe they're late bloomers. I'm actually a little worried that it's getting crowded, especially with this raspberry bush. It's like huge. I really think we might need to relocate the raspberry bush. Otherwise, like its own growth is gonna start being hindered, I think. I don't know, this raspberry bush is freaking me out. It's not even like growing anything, it's just taking up space. So I don't really know what to do with that. But everything else is great. I decided that the reason people like garden fresh vegetables is not because they taste better necessarily, but because it's like so convenient. Normally in the past, we would have to buy a head of lettuce and we would use maybe a quarter of it because we're not big lettuce eaters, and then the rest of it would just go bad. Now it's like, I want lettuce. Take like 3 leaves. Boom, that's all the lettuce you need. Like, you don't have to buy a crap ton of lettuce that you're not gonna use. It's great. For me, that's the biggest benefit right now, because I don't think there's a huge difference between garden grown lettuce and lettuce that has some preservatives in it or whatever. They taste the same. It's just the convenience of being able to get exactly how much you need, and it's fresh, and it's right there. You don't have to go to the store. That's nice. So yeah, a lot of stuff is growing. A lot of stuff has flowers. It's exciting. It's definitely a good time, I think. Then June came around, and after much deliberation, we finally caved and transplanted our raspberry bush. We put this off for a long time because we weren't sure if it was necessary and we were lazy, but it turned out to be super worth it because it actually let us spread out some of our other plants. Onions.
So I culled a bit of them. The really tiny ones that weren't taken off very well.
Yeah.
I took out. I got these here. I might try to put where the raspberry bush was.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The really small ones we can use as spring onions. This raspberry bush was getting really out of hand, and it was blocking a lot of the other plants from getting light. So the strawberries were just like trying to spread out. It was mostly the strawberries, but also like the lettuce has been growing just like straight up. And I don't think that's quite how the lettuce is supposed to grow. Also, we probably haven't been eating the lettuce as much as we should. So like it kind of has nowhere to grow. So that's a little bit our fault. But a lot of the stuff was growing really weirdly because the raspberry plant was keeping those plants from getting sun. So we moved it over here. For a while, it looked like it was dying. But earlier today, or yesterday I think, we picked off all the dead leaves so that we could tell if more leaves were dying. Does that make sense? Like, we were like, if we take all the dead leaves off, we'll know tomorrow if there's more or less, because right now there's 0. So we woke up today and it doesn't look like there's any more dead leaves. Like, there aren't any new ones. So hopefully that means it's alive. But yeah, we'll see. We don't really know anything about transplanting plants, but my logic was, you know, it's basically preventing everything else from thriving. So like, it needs to be moved. Everything else in the garden is going fantastically. We have a ton of strawberries, so much lettuce that I don't even know what to do with. Like, oh my gosh, we've been eating salad constantly. We finally found out how onions work. And yes, like each of the little things was individually its own onion. Now it feels like duh, but I don't know. We didn't know how onions worked, so sue us. But now we do. So we decided to basically take like half of them and make them spring onions, which I used to kind of garnish this really awesome recipe that I found through the Pickup Limes YouTube channel, so check her out especially if you're like a vegan or vegetarian. Like, her stuff is awesome. Yeah, we made like half of them spring onions, but the other half we planted and spaced them out more so that they can grow into like full-sized onions. So we're gonna have a lot of onions once those are finally ready. The peppers are really thriving. We have some cherry tomatoes, like little baby cherry tomatoes. The other thing is our blueberries. We keep getting blueberries, and then birds or squirrels or something are eating them, and it's annoying. So we got this owl that's supposed to like scare away birds. I don't think it's working, but it was cheap, so we tried it. Protect us, owl. We're probably gonna end up having to get some sort of like net or something to put over the berries, so, you know, whatever. But yeah, things are going well. I've eaten like so much lettuce. We both have eaten a lot of lettuce and salads and stuff. And I've eaten some of the spring onions. So like, we're officially eating stuff out of our garden like semi-regularly, and that's exciting. I'm really ready for the berries to get here. Fruit is like my favorite thing. I love vegetables, but like fruit, you know? But we will see if we even get to eat any of it, or if the birds will just beat us to all of it. Okay, I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes, so give me like 3 seconds. Anyway, hey, I hope this lighting isn't super weird, but the sun is staying out longer and longer. So it's like 6 p.m. and I don't want to sit right under the sun. This is actually about the time that I normally come out and water the garden. You know, when we first made the garden, Eric and I would water it in the morning while we were walking bare, and that made a lot of sense at the time. But since then, we've adopted another dog, Ahto. By the time you see this, Ahto will probably have been mentioned on my channel, but I actually don't know. So if not, here's some clips of our adorable dog. He is not potty trained, and he came from a really bad situation before he came to us. So we have to keep him on a leash like all the time. Our side door is not attached to our backyard, so especially because of that, we can't just like let him out and let him roam around the yard. He's used to weaseling his way through things and like hiding in corners. So we're just worried about him getting through our fence somehow. So because of that, we can't easily water the garden while we're trying to like convince a very skittish dog to get in the grass. It just adds so much time to our morning routine, and we are not really morning people. Aside from the adoption of Ahto, the next several updates become sort of repetitive. Here are the highlights. Pretty much the instant that our fruits and vegetables actually started coming in, we got some serious pest problems. I think last time I updated this, I talked about some strawberries that I was really excited about. They got to a much redder phase than the ones that had previously gotten taken by squirrels. So we were like, okay, clearly this owl is doing what it needs to do. And then when our strawberry was like really, really nice and red, the biggest one, we were like, pretty much like probably gonna pick it later that day or the next day. Eric woke up in the morning and there were 3 squirrels in our yard, I think, and the strawberries were still there. So he was like, okay, cool, I guess they're scared of the owl. When I got up a couple hours later, the strawberries were missing. And he told me, you know, he saw the squirrels, but they didn't take anything. And I was like, oh, they took things. They took all 3 of our like really promising strawberries. There was a strawberry here, it's gone. There was a strawberry here, it's gone. There was like a strawberry hiding back here, and that one's gone. I guess squirrels are like pretty smart and remember like where's a good place to find food. So these squirrels keep coming back, and I'm trying to get Bear to bark at them. I've been like banging pots to get them to go away. But we also got some like pest resistant spray and sprayed it around the garden. Everything that we've grown so far that has fruited, the fruit is getting stolen by, at first it was squirrels, I'm pretty sure, stealing all our strawberries. We're gonna be lucky if we get a freaking strawberry out of this garden. And now with the tomatoes, I think it's birds, because it gets little like holes on the edge. So every time we get a red cherry tomato, we're like, oh, we're gonna pick that in like 2 days. And then the next day, the day before we would have picked it, a bird has attacked it. All of our jalapenos that I showed you last time also got stolen, and we actually had a sweet heat pepper start turning red finally. I was gonna get a shot of it, but then something stole that. Like, what is eating spicy things? What? I don't understand. We got a lot of stuff going on, and now we just have to figure out how to hold on to it. So 1 month and 3 pest deterrent methods later, we finally figured out that the best way to keep animals out is a net. We're gonna put a big net sort of thing over it because no matter what sort of repellent we've tried, it doesn't work. So like a net like has to keep birds and squirrels out. Maybe not bugs, but like there's no way they're getting through the net, right? Hopefully. Foreshadowing? I don't know.
Swords.
And it wound up being a pretty good solution. This is working so well. I don't think I've seen a single thing that has gotten pecked at by a bird or taken by a squirrel. Like everything is always there now. And we have so many red tomatoes. Like they're like, hey, squirrel, eat me. Did this net it was like, I think it was less than $50 to put this up. Like totally worth it. The one crop that was never affected by pests was our lettuce, and we had way more than we knew what to do with, so it started growing kind of weirdly. We have so much freaking lettuce. Lettuce isn't supposed to look like this. Eric was like, I didn't know romaine lettuce grew in stalks like that. I was like, oh, it doesn't. But apparently, if you don't pick your lettuce, it'll just keep going. To me, it's like, I don't care that it's growing weirdly because it's still lettuce and it tastes like lettuce, and like it's fine. It's not like it's lettuce, you know? And we were like, okay, this time we're getting salad ingredients for real so we can eat salad and get rid of our freaking lettuce. The lettuce has bolted, I believe is what it's called. This is just something that happens to lettuce when it gets really hot and when it gets drier. And unfortunately, I wasn't aware of this concept sooner. If I had been, I probably would have started giving them a little extra water to try to keep them alive longer, but once they bolt, I believe that's pretty much it. Like, you're done getting good lettuce out of this. So I think we have like maybe 1 or 2 salads left. And then once you get to like these tiny leaves up here, they're apparently like tough and bitter and you don't want to eat them. The lettuce situation is out of hand. We're at the point with the lettuce where pretty much everything that's left is like a small, kind of bitter, tough leaf. And those aren't as good. So I think today I'm going to take as many of the little lettuce flowers off as I can and try to preserve the seeds. I don't know if I'll end up going through with my like replant the seeds plan that I have right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep some so I have the option. So I'm gonna take the little flowers off, save their seeds, and then I'm just gonna dig up the lettuce plants because now I feel like they're just there taking up space, making our garden look kind of weird. So I'm gonna get rid of the lettuce today. Oh, and you know how I said we needed to start eating more salad? Yeah, we ate a lot of salad. We've eaten a lot of salad, eating salad constantly. I've eaten like so much salad. Salad. We've eaten a lot of salad, eating salad constantly. I've eaten like so much salad. Stop! Salad, eating salad constantly. We also got about 1 million cherry tomatoes. Our cherry tomatoes are doing really, really well. We have a lot of cherry tomatoes, which is great because Eric loves cherry tomatoes on a salad. I do too, but like he's a big cherry tomato guy. So we're just waiting on the cherry tomatoes to ripen. We grew a tomato. We did it.
Tomato.
This is the first one that we grew that didn't get stolen by a bird or anything. Partially because I accidentally picked it a day too early. But hey, we let it ripen in the window and now it's ripe.
And not in the window.
Do you want to just bite into it or are you going to cut it in half?
No, it's a cherry tomato, why not?
Well, I want the other half.
Yeah, duh. I'm going to bite into half of it and then throw the other half away.
Well, I don't bite into cherry tomatoes, I eat them. Whoa, it's really, like, soft, I guess? Is it good?
It's very good.
It's very juicy. It's still a little sour.
No, but it's perfect.
I like it though.
No,
I don't like me a super sweet tomato.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. And that plant went Hulk on us after a while too. We have like so many cherry tomatoes. Oh my gosh. I've had at least like 2 or 3 salads just for the purpose of eating the cherry tomatoes. And Eric will just like pick them off the vine and just eat them. Our cherry tomatoes are killing it though. We've had a couple split, which I'm not sure if that's a watering thing or if it's because we're taking so long to pick them that they just like burst. But our cherry tomatoes are great. The tomatoes are freaking coming out of their cage and they've been doing just fine. I mean, look at this. You're supposed to stay where you can be protected by the netting. I don't know what we're gonna do about this situation, but the tomatoes are just like We are growing and you're gonna deal with it. We haven't gotten any cherry tomatoes turning red in a while, but we still have a lot of them. I just don't know why they're not turning red. But as you can see, we have a couple that are red now. We're probably gonna pick them in a day or two. And I always have lettuce in there to make salads. So I've been eating a lot of salads. I think I say this every video. We also got a lot of beefsteak tomatoes. Finally, our regular sized tomatoes are starting to have some flowers. So that's really exciting. I'm really ready for some regular sized tomatoes. I want to just eat one with some salt and pepper on it. We have so many beefsteak tomatoes. I think we have like 10. And you know, I've heard that tomatoes are like a really high yield crop. So maybe 10 tomatoes isn't a lot, but like it's more than I expected, I guess. Unfortunately though, they didn't turn out quite the way we were hoping. And one of them, like the first one that we got that was like always bigger than all the others, now has these weird lines on it, like kind of like a circle. And I'm like, is this normal for beefsteak tomatoes? Maybe it is, but we're just gonna, you know, let it do its thing and we'll see. We have had to get rid of so many tomatoes because so many of them were cracking or had holes in them from, I guess, maybe pests. It doesn't look like we've had a lot of pests, but like sometimes there will be holes and I'm like, that looks like a bug got in there. But yeah, apparently if your tomatoes are being watered inconsistently, they will be prone to cracking. And because we got a new dog who requires a lot of attention, especially when he's outside, we hadn't been watering the garden as much as we probably should have been. So I think that's why, and we kind of learned our lesson. And now that Ahto is getting a little bit more obedient while he's outside, we are able to water the garden more easily. So that's nice. And now our tomatoes are doing a little bit better, but we lost so many of our first ones that I think in the end we're probably gonna have like 4 tomatoes, and they're not gonna be nice big tomatoes either. They're just gonna be like average sized tomatoes. We didn't get as many tomatoes as I was hoping for. We got 2, maybe 3 because of the cracking problem. By the time we kind of figured out what we were doing wrong and we started watering more consistently, by that time it was kind of done giving us tomatoes. So unfortunately we weren't able to kind of fix our mistake in time. So most of the tomatoes that we got wound up cracking and they weren't good, but the ones that we did get were great on BLTs. They were also great for snacking. My observation about our big tomatoes and our small tomatoes is that the outside skin is like really tough and then the inside is softer. So I guess in a way they're more like explosive, which I think some people like. I don't really like that huge contrast, having like a super tough skin and the insides just kind of feel almost like mush. I don't know if that's the breed of tomato we got or if there's like some sort of preservatives they inject in store-bought tomatoes that make them, I don't know, have more bite to them, I guess, not just on the outside. They were good. They just weren't, they were different than what I expected. Another confusing plant was the peppers, although some of that wasn't our fault. You'll see what I mean. These sweet heat peppers are starting to confuse me. So it said that if you pick them when they're green, they're sweet, and when they're red, they're heat. So we've been waiting to see how long they take to turn red, and they're still green. It's been like a month, and they're not really changing in size. They're just staying green, and I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if like the packaging lied to us. I'm okay if we just have sweet peppers, but I'm like, did we read this wrong? Or like, do only certain ones turn red? Or does it really just take like a whole month for these peppers to turn red? Like, I don't know. They've been here forever. We just keep getting more of them and we don't want to pick them because we want to see if they're going to turn red. We have some new jalapenos. Our bell peppers are continuing to grow. We have 3, I think, 2 green, 1 red. Yeah, we didn't have 2 green and 1 red pepper, but I'll figure that out in a bit. We have lots of peppers. Our 3 jalapenos are coming along nicely. We had 1 sweet heat pepper turn the heat color. So now we're gonna have some hot peppers, which is cool. And with our bell peppers, they're doing fine, but something kind of funny happened. We switched the little labels on them when we planted them. So for a while, we were like, why are these peppers that are supposed to be green turning like this shade of brown? We didn't really understand what was happening. At first it was only happening to 1 pepper. So we were like, what's wrong with this 1 pepper? Then the other pepper started turning brown. And by the time that was happening, the first pepper it was becoming obvious that it wasn't brown. It was in that intermediate stage between green and red, which is brown. But you know what I mean? It wasn't a bad brown. So we were like, oh, we switched the colors. Nope, the labels weren't switched either. Hi, Eric got home. Do you want to be in this? You can stand by the mic.
I don't care.
You do care. You're in it. We have 3 jalapenos, and you should look at the jalapenos.
I know, they're getting fat.
Yeah, we're gonna make salsa, maybe. But yeah, our pepper game is good. We also picked 2 red bell peppers. Apparently, we bought 2 red bell pepper plants, even though one of them was labeled as green. There we go. We figured it out. One of them, something bad happened to it. I don't remember. It had like a big brown spot on it, and then we cut into it, and it was like kind of rotten on the inside.
Yeah, the seeds were weird.
But yeah, our other 2 have been fine. At least the one that I cut one up and froze it. The other one, if it's still good, I'm gonna use it with my meat and my tacos this week. Oh, and also this butterfly flew right in front of the camera one day. I was showing you some strawberries that I was really excited about. Was that a butterfly? That definitely got on the camera. I don't know if that was a butterfly or a leaf, but it moved in a very unexpected way. It is a butterfly. Oh, it's pretty. Anyway, our raspberry plant did way better than expected considering the transplant. And our raspberry bush over there is definitely getting better. It just had a lot of leaves that were looking really dead and it just looked like shriveled up and not happy. But now it has a lot of new growth on it. Eric said that raspberries apparently take like a year to produce actual berries. So we're not expecting anything from it this year, but we're glad that it's living and hopefully it'll, live through the winter and give us some raspberries next year. And then in August, we started to see actual raspberries coming in, which we had been told was not supposed to happen in the first year. Our raspberries have flowers on them. I didn't even know if this raspberry plant was gonna live, let alone give us fruit. But I went over there the other day and I saw that there were flowers on it. And I was like, well, maybe it flowers, but fruit doesn't happen. But we've been keeping an eye on it and like definitely there are little baby green raspberries that are gonna turn red eventually. So that's really exciting, especially for me because I love raspberries, but they're so expensive. So like if for 1 week I don't have to buy raspberries, like I will be so happy. They are still getting bigger. Nothing weird is happening with the raspberries. In fact, we even have some new flowers and our strawberries made a comeback too. Our strawberries are they're like having a second wind. Suddenly we have strawberries. There's literally a there's like 2 green strawberries. There's 3 and flowers. And like there's a red one that we didn't pick in time, so it got gross. But our strawberries are doing great. Well, like great for almost September. Like what? Unfortunately, we didn't end up eating most of the strawberries because the bugs beat us to them, but we wound up with like 5. What are you doing?
I got a strawberry from our garden.
Wow, we have strawberries in our garden? That's crazy.
I know, it's like September. Let's cut it open.
Yum. Don't they smell amazing? They smell like fresh strawberry.
Ready?
Uh-huh. More sour than I expected.
Yeah. Well,
but we did pick it a little early.
And then we also have raspberries, and we're not sure if the footage made it or not. But we tried them already, but we're going to try them again for videographic evidence. I like that more than last time. Last time we had them, we felt like they were kind of flavorless. That one's sweet. It's still not a very intense raspberry flavor though, but it's sweet at least. This is how many we had from today. I just picked these today.
We have a lot. We were able to salvage a single blueberry and it wasn't great. Hey, so we're building our pantry. This is gonna be another video that has already been posted, if I recall correctly. But anyway, I was recycling the box that it came in, and our blueberry in our garden is finally blue, and we've had a real squirrel problem lately, so I went ahead and picked it kind of early, and we're gonna try it. Do you wanna try it first, or me? Still pretty green on the inside. Does it taste good? Is it sour?
It's pretty sour.
Yeah, well, I like them when they're a little right. It's sour. So pick your blueberries when they're blue. Luckily, everything else we grew tasted normal, so we used our fruits and veggies to make a bunch of delicious food. We're having a dinner with like 75 vegetables from our garden.
Like 3.
Meat? No, just kidding.
From our garden.
My fake meat has bell peppers and sweet pea peppers in it from our garden. His has 1 pepper somehow, I don't know how that got in there. And then the pièce de résistance.
Piece of resistance.
Is the salsa that Eric made. It's really dark over here. And what's in here from our garden? Jalapenos.
Jalapenos.
Everything else is from cans. Oh yeah, and I forgot about the watermelon for a really long time. Like in one update, this is all I said about it. Our watermelon has some flowers, but when they actually started growing, I got really attached to them. The watermelon, I forgot about the watermelon. This is kind of something that Eric did just for himself because he loves watermelon, but it's actually fairly successful, I think. We've had a couple watermelons, like little tiny ones. They're so cute. The first one that we got turned yellow after a while, and we think it just kind of died. We aren't sure why either, but now we have one that's like this big-ish. We have 2 watermelons that are getting like pretty big. This watermelon has gotten so much bigger, it's ridiculous. There's just something about being able to like hold your hand up to compare the growth of something that everything else we grew was so small that its growth wasn't as exciting. Whereas a watermelon, it's like, it's bigger than my hand now, wow! At the time of filming this like overarching voiceover segment, the watermelon is still on the vine out there. It's getting cold outside and I'm worried that it's not going to like fully ripen before it gets too cold. We got our watermelon.
It's melon.
And we don't know if it's gonna be any good.
You have no idea.
It's supposed to be black.
It's pretty dark.
Ready. It's like dark for a watermelon.
Yeah, it does not sound hollow like a normal watermelon would when it's ripe.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
But the reason we're doing it is because it's getting cold outside, so it wouldn't.
Well, 1, it's getting cold outside, and 2, it hasn't grown at all. Like, it stayed this size
that's
for like
true.
a month.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see.
You're gonna see the melon.
Well, it's pink.
It's very
Hey!
pink. Smells like a watermelon.
Well, should we like scoop some out and just do a quick taste?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
That didn't seem good.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that when you get watermelon and there's like a lighter pink around the outside. It's like that. Plant your watermelons earlier than we did. We kind of did it.
We planted them in like late April. No, I planted them in like
It was
June.
like in June. It was impulsive.
Yeah.
So I think that was our problem. Basically right now there's a bunch of fruits and vegetables still out there, but I think it's getting too cold for them to like fully ripen. We have some like little baby peppers that have started to come up, but I sort of doubt that they will become like fully mature peppers before it gets too cold for them to keep growing. We have loads of these green cherry tomatoes, but they're just staying green. We're still getting a few more red raspberries and strawberries every day, so that's kind of satisfying, but overall, it's kind of like, I feel like the end of a gardening season is kind of unsatisfying. I guess I always thought it would just be like, and then we harvested our last watermelon and everything else was not growing, so there was a very clear end. But it's like, when do we stop? I don't know. Oh, the other thing that I just sort of stopped talking about them in the vlog. I don't even think I really like mentioned why I stopped talking about them. The onions. Basically, we learned that no, the 2 things that we bought at Lowe's weren't each 1 onion, right? They were like 50 onions. I don't know. In retrospect, it felt like really obvious. We were able to use some of them as spring onions, and those were really great. But the ones that we left to keep growing eventually just sort of stopped growing. So basically, we didn't really end up with any onions. So that was kind of a bummer, but you know, next year we'll know to space the onions out properly right off the bat. So maybe we'll have more success with those guys next year. Yeah, overall, it was a super fun experience gardening. I mean, we're definitely gonna do it again next year. I was gonna say, I hope we do it again next year. No, we're doing it next year. I feel like people act like gardening is like a really hard thing. Growing up, if I heard that someone had their own garden, I would be like, wow, that's amazing. You must be so talented with plants. You have a green thumb. Like, people act like it's like so impressive to garden, but like, seriously, I feel like anyone could garden. I mean, we definitely like messed up a lot and we still wound up with a lot of fruits and vegetables in my opinion. I mean, at least for a family of 2. So my big lesson that I learned is like, anyone can garden. If you're watching this and you're like, wow, that's so cool, I wish I could have a garden. Like, you can literally do it. But yeah, I would say the rumors are true. If you have a garden, you're gonna eat a lot of salad. Thank you guys for watching. I know this video is probably like super long because I've been recording it for the past 6 months. So if you made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate that. I really enjoyed this little experiment, and I loved finding out that we really do like gardening, and it's something that we want to continue doing in the future. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I put videos out every other Friday about music, media, linguistics, and whatever else is on my mind that week. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.